Hello, friends. This is Manoj Agrawal. I'm the group editor at Banking Frontiers. And I welcome you to one more podcast. So, what is the topic this time? Our theme is digital wisdom, and I was thinking, what exactly is wisdom? Because it's a very nebulous subject. Obviously, it relates to knowledge because when we acquire knowledge, that is a stepping stone to wisdom. In the way I could visualize it in my mind, is we think of knowledge as pieces of jigsaw puzzles. And when you put those jigsaw pieces together, then you get a complete picture. So I think that clarity is a stepping stone to wisdom. And that clarity comes when you have enough number of jigsaw puzzles and you put them together correctly to get that clear picture. So that's what we're going to try and understand today, the road to clarity, from knowledge to clarity. My guest today is Mr. Vamsi Krishna. He is the Chief Technology Officer at Axis Mutual Fund. Vamsi has spent over 22 years at ABN AMRO Bank, Yes Bank, Microsoft, Capgemini, and many other noted organizations. Really happy to have him as a guest in our podcast in the studio. Vamsi, welcome to Digital Wisdom. So, the journey from knowledge to clarity, how was it for you? When did you start getting that feeling that yes, now you have clarity? You're not just working as a knowledge worker, but there's something more than just knowledge that is guiding your decisions and your actions.
Yeah, I think it's an evolving journey. It's a tall statement to say I have now arrived and therefore I have full clarity on what I do, etc. It's still a continuously evolving process. In the formative years, the engineering backdrop that you have, and your quest to solve problems more from an engineering standpoint, it easily weighs against business objectives. As you evolve in your career, as you pass through multiple organizations and multiple problem statements that you solved over time, there is a place where your clarity is much more easier because the priorities in terms of what you are trying to do for business, etc., becomes clear, and therefore the clarity arrives.
Okay. Any particular critical points in your professional journey where you feel that yes, there has been a change? Was it because of the major project that you did? Was it because of guidance that you got from someone?
See, I can quote quite a few examples, right? Maybe I'll quote one quick examples from an early days of my career. I was employed with one of the largest microfinanciers in the country. Not one of the largest, the largest microfinancier in the country at that point of time. Today it's part of a bank. Back then it was microfinancier in themselves, serving pretty much pan-India, millions of customers, etc.
Right.
When I went on board, we said, we have to build the whole technology pieces together because microfinance being microfinance had bare bone technology, nothing more than a very simple loan application app, plus servers and printers and PCs have and we are done with IT, right?
Very basic.
Very pretty basic, right? So then when we looked at various pieces, we looked at the opportunity around digital, we looked at the opportunity around information security, etc. I said, okay, one of the simplest things that any IT manager would do is to make sure that you have consistent endpoint protection. Right. So we went with one of the most popular choices, one of the most popular endpoint protection choices at that point of time.
Right.
And we tried to roll it out pan-India. Everything went fine from the time of conception all the way to the time of rollout. And the moment it got rolled out, actually, within a month's time, several branches have come back and said, we're not able to run the loan app.
Oh.
Okay. And we didn't know what went wrong. We tried to debug it in different ways. We thought something is wrong with the code. This went on for, days and weeks. And in the end, we realized with the kind of endpoints that we typically give to these branch managers, etc., given microfinance is not, a typical microfinance branch is very different from a bank branch.
Correct.
Right? And the demographics and the geographic location of where these are placed, we're not even talking about challenges like network, challenges like at an electricity level, root cause. At a root level, when it comes to power availability, sometimes water availability for cooling, etc., etc. These are real issues. Something that an urban IT manager would never have seen.
So
neither have I.
Yeah.
And therefore, what is best of the breed is not apt for the industry that I was looking for.
Okay.
So this is one big jolt that I faced early on in the career. So, what works for everybody else may not necessarily work for you, unless
Good
it's
point.
contextualized.
Good point. So, Vamsi, in the recent part of your career, last 5 years maybe, could you give a couple of examples of some big decisions that you have taken where clarity played a big role in taking the decision? So it's not just putting two and two together.
Yeah. I think the two places where you constantly have to keep taking these decisions is one, whether you're going to buy something or you're going to build something,
Okay.
right? Buy versus build continues to be a big question mark each time when you embark on a massive transformation project or a new area of work. You want to always decide between buying and building, right? This is also an area where I would say I've evolved over time. My formative days, the instinct is to always build because that's what
Okay.
quests your thirst, right? If you're an engineer and you've been if you started your journey as a coder or a engineer, etc., the first instinct that comes to you is to build it yourself, right? To balance that with the needs of the business. For example, if I can go and build, let's say in 12 months, and if there is something that's off the shelf, which is readily available and can be customized for your business, let's say in a matter of 2 months or 3 months, I would rather go with the latter. Even if build is what I would want to do, if buy is what immediately solves the business problem that I'm looking at. I think this is a maturity that you get when you move into the CTO shoes.
Okay.
Right? You don't so much appreciate it. There are many times when I would have accused my managers of, not letting me build something, but you realize it when you're in this side of the table, right?
Interesting.
Yeah, so that is one.
Okay.
So the decision is not necessarily buying versus building, purely from a team's keeping the team happy sort of a thing, but in terms of how well it's aligned with the business goals. Right?
Correct.
For example, if there's a new product that the business wants to take to market, competition is already in the market with that particular product. You want to go to market as soon as you can. You don't want to necessarily build something to go to market.
Correct.
Right? On the contrary, if you want to really build a foundation that lets you to go to market faster again and again, you build then. It's just a foundation that you're building right now. So while nothing happens in year 1, year 2, while I know you are able to go to market with newer products again and again. But when there is something already burning, there is competition running with the product, you want to, choose buy or build. These are nuances that, I would have learned. The other major piece, where a constant decisioning is required is what do you hire? What should your team constitute?
Of course. Okay.
Right? Even if you choose to buy, is it all buy and then therefore, you don't have any talent in-house? This is where you have to decision. So to me, 3 aspects are very important. The first aspect is the architecture of the system or the application that we're building.
Okay.
It's paramount, right? For what scale am I building this for? Am I building this for population scale? Am I building this for, a small set of the population? How many millions of downloads would I want to have? What performance metrics am I going to track? If I take the example of, how fast my app reacts to clicks. Okay, I want to be able to measure it in microseconds, let's say, right? These are architectural decisions that you're making early on. What kind of concurrency do you want the application to, behave well for? So this is where I guess, the having that in-house architectural talent, whether it's in terms of cloud, whether it's in terms of microservices, whether it's in terms of data, these are critical assets and we need to have them in-house. The second aspect is in terms of the experience that you want to offer your users, right?
Yes.
Not necessarily internal users, especially customer-facing assets, like let's say a mobile app or a CRM, where people want to come and register their queries, complaints, etc., etc. It's an experience that you're offering there, right? And the people who design the UX, whether it's the product managers or the UX engineers, you want that talent in-house. You don't want to outsource the experience factor that you want to offer to your customers to somebody else because you know your customers better than others.
Right.
So that's the second element. The third element where I would want in-house talent is in terms of who is testing it before the system actually hits the larger masses. right? Whether it's system integration, whether it is user acceptance, whether it is A/B testing, you want that in-house.
Mhm.
I'm not so much bothered in terms of who writes the code, but my architecture, my test capabilities, my product capabilities in terms of user interface, user experience factors, these have to be in-house.
Okay.
That's my line of thought.
So, Vamsi, that's good to know how you frame the big decisions. And these are apparently decisions that you have to keep taking. It's not that you take it once and then it's done for 3 years. So, today there's a lot of hype about AI,
Yep.
about singularity, about disruption, about machines taking over human beings, making human beings obsolete. How much of that is hype, how much is reality, we don't know. But I think for a decision maker in a corporate, it is important to be clear what is hype and what is not. Maybe you will not know for sure, but there has to be clarity. What is the clarity in your mind when you look at all these kind of meaningful and nonsensical statements coming out from top-notch leaders? It's
Yep.
not that some idiot astrologer is saying something.
Yeah.
These are really reputed people who are making some kind of forecast.
Yeah.
How do you separate the chaff from the reality?
Just between Microsoft, Amazon, and Google, there is $67 billion investment that's announced as latest as this month, right?
Yes.
There's a lot of money that's flowing into the country. There's a lot of money world over being invested. It would be foolhardy to assume that there are billions chasing just hype,
No.
right? But that's from a technological lens.
Mm-hmm.
When you look at it, the opportunity that technology brings from a business lens, there are only two measurable parameters there. One is time, the other is money.
Okay.
So your frame of evaluation, is always between, okay, so there's this emerging tech, it could be agentic AI, it could be contextual AI, as we say right now. Whatever technology that you pick up, or it used to be cloud a few years back.
Mhm.
Cloud used to be a big decision that businesses had to take. And there's a lot of FOMO around
Yes.
not going on cloud, right? For me, the answer, this is one aspect where clarity, clarity has dawned upon me
Okay.
a little early. The fact you're bringing on technology into an enterprise should either mean we are able to do more in less time, and therefore putting that time back in the hands of your employees to
Okay.
achieve something else for which otherwise the organization would have had to hire more, right?
Yes.
Can I do more with less?
Productivity, essentially.
Yeah, absolutely. Productivity. The other aspect is, can I spin off a new line of business? Can I offer a new product by virtue of this technology? Right?
Uh-huh. Yes.
So this is from a business lens, it's always about time and money. Now, I'm almost tempted to say that, when there is so much of money coming in here, you're creating a lot of supply. And supply
Uh-huh.
can create its own demand. I'll give an example, right? When was the last time, I'm talking about a decade back, would we have imagined that, you want to buy groceries every 6 hours or every 12 hours
No.
or every day for that matter? You would buy for a week.
Typically,
More
yes.
planned families would buy for a month. I'm not sure how many such families exist anymore. India is buying every day. India is buying every few hours. So what Swiggy or Zomato or a Grow or a Zerodha or what have you have created is a lot of supply.
Mhm.
The ability to execute something at an interval that you would wish, for a small convenience price that you pay, right? So this is sheer supply creating a new wave of demand. Supply can create a lot of demand, and that's exactly what's happening today with AI. There's a lot of supply that's being created.
Right.
It's in terms of compute,
Absolutely.
storage, your ability to write a poem, even if you are not a poet, your ability to sing a song, even if you're not a singer, you throw in your voice, try asking it to mimic Muhammad Rafi in your own voice, etc. I'm sure you will come up with something beautiful, right?
Right.
And there's a lot of supply, and I see it getting adapted, especially by people who are born in the age of devices, right? People who have grown eating food along with a device, sitting in front of a device. They're going to be, they're born in there, and therefore, they're going to consume that. And that could spur a bit of demand, while a lot of what AI offers seems to be hype from a business lens. in the enterprise environments that we work, I'm equally aware that I'm probably living in somebody else's world. The world belongs to the Gen Alphas, not even Gen Zs.
Yeah, no.
Because the Gen Alphas are going to hit the job market pretty soon, and these folks have been raised very differently.
Absolutely.
And their ability to consume AI or why AI, even quantum for that matter, when it comes up, is very fascinating. From a humanitarian standpoint, though, the Earth has a very finite set of resources.
Right.
All this compute that we create, all this the energy that it's going to burn, where is it all coming from? Can it come from sustainable sources? Is this all sustainable? That's $1 million question. Nobody seems to have answer to it.
More like $1 trillion question, literally.
Yeah.
Do you find clarity coming easily or compared to earlier days, or is it more difficult to get clarity these days?
Yeah,
The way
choices
things are
create
changing.
confusion, right? Choices. When was the last time you walked into a restaurant? You found the menu to have 250 items out there, and the first thing you have ordered is paneer butter masala. Because that's the one thing that you would order a paneer butter masala or a dal makhani or what have you, the staple. Nobody has the time to go through a 250 item menu list.
Correct.
I think this is something that range of choices can do to humans, right? The more choices on the platter, the more confused the human brain is, and therefore
Then you begin to shut off, kind of.
yeah, then you begin to shut off, and then you do the default.
You go to the
I think choices are good. A plethora of choices are bad.
beyond a point.
Yes, and a point.
Sounds good. That's a very interesting way to put it, actually.
Thanks.
How you cope with excess.
Yeah,
How you get clarity when there is too much information.
yeah. It also eats into your time, right? Show someone 2 songs and ask them to pick one. They will almost instantly pick.
Correct.
Give them 10 songs and then ask them to pick one. Then it will take more time.
More time. The more the number of songs, the tougher the choice.
Yeah.
Correct.
So the clarity, to the extent clarity is concerned, I think clarity comes when the choices are fairly limited. It's human brain can operate only in certain parts at a point of time, right? So I think it's easier to navigate between fewer choices than a lot more choices.
Okay.
As a business CTO, if I have to select a solution and there are 4, 5, 6 solutions that I'm going to evaluate, this is something that I constantly tell the teams, right? We are not out here to do a fellowship in evaluating technology platforms.
Okay.
Right? If you're operating within the first quadrant, okay, let's pick a magic quadrant or a Forrester wave or what have you. If you want a pick solution in a particular gradient, just look at solutions within that gradient and then put a finite time to it and then you close the POC.
Right.
Because there's no end to proving your concept, right? You can keep doing it for a year, or you can choose to deliver the project in that 1 year instead of doing the POCs.
So that's a good point. That's a very valid point. Yeah, it comes down to ultimately time equals money. Do you think of clarity as being subjective or objective or like a mixture of both? And if it's a mixture of both, then what is it more of?
Yeah, it's a mix of both, right? See, clarity itself is binary. You're either saying yes to something or no to something.
Right.
So to that extent, it's an objective choice that you're making. But then doing that binary choice subject to your priorities at any point of time. I think clarity around decisions is a lot about priorities. It's subject to your priority, and to that extent, it's a subjective element.
So that is a subject.
Yeah, that's why I say it's a mix here.
Interesting. Have you found ways to get clarity faster if needed? For example, if you don't have time to take an important decision to do all the R&D,
Yeah.
how do you go around getting clarity? Talking to people, talking to AI?
Of course. I think
just sitting and thinking deeply.
Yeah, I think when you talk to people, you essentially talk to yourself, as in you hear yourself. As we have this conversation, I think a lot of thoughts that I'm expressing right now are what I wouldn't be able to think for myself. Because by nature of this conversation, I think I'm opening up and giving you out how I think, right? I think it's a process of self-learning. So talking to others for me is definitely an option. But in terms of clarity and making sure that when you're taking a choice, the objective is to not go wrong, right?
Yes, that is
so the worst case scenario is something that I look at. What if this fails?
Okay.
Right? Because there are decisions that are reversible, there are decisions that are irreversible.
Correct.
So if it's an irreversible decision, then I take my own time. Even if time is on a premium, I would rather say, look, it's an irreversible decision, and therefore, you got to invest time. There are
cannot go
reversible
wrong.
decisions, things that can be done in a MVP format or small format. You execute something small, fail fast, learn, and then redo. Right? It could be in a iterating fashion, which is where the whole waterfall to agile transition came. Right? In the software world. Yeah. So I believe in doing that iterative sort of a process where you deliver something small and then you improve upon.
So if I may rephrase, what you're saying is to you break a bigger decision into a series of smaller decisions where you can go back and forth if required.
Yeah, sure. I mean, let's imagine building a warehouse management system, right? Let's say it has got these 5, 6, 7 components, key components that go into it, and the hypothesis being that I'm going to build this whole thing in-house with a set of architects and developers and testers or what have you, and build an SRE team to manage their uptime. I'm going to test my hypothesis with, let's say, just the inventory management piece. And see, if this whole thing has to be done, let's say in 18 months, can I do this much in 3 months? I think that's a proof of concept for me.
That sounds good. Well, thank you so much, Vamsi. Been a pleasure talking to you. And like you said, talking opens up one's own mind. I see that happening in myself also. So friends, that was a conversation with Vamsi Krishna, Chief Technology Officer at Axis Mutual Funds. We touched upon clarity from multiple perspectives. I think collectively we have tried to put together the jigsaw puzzle and get the clarity between us, especially from the role of the CTO in a typical financial organization. That's it for this time. Thank you so much. Have a great day.